Hello to everyone. Greetings from Colombia. I thanks for the invitation today, and I am sorry I couldn't join online, but I hope this video is useful for the conversation you will be having. As you may know, I am Gina Romero, UN Special Rapporteur for the Rights of Freedom of Assembly and of Association. I was invited to talk today about the exercise of these rights for religious minorities in Iran. So let me start by saying that the center of my mandate is the collective action that is exercising the possibility for individuals to come together to do mainly two sets of actions. The first one is to create associations that are mainly groups, formal or informal, that set common objectives and activities and also to seek, receive, and manage funding for implementing those activities and to establishing their own governance rules and bodies, which in general is the right to freedom of association and includes the setting of faith communities, faith-based organizations, and any other type of faith-based groups. And also the other set of actions is the collective action related to the possibility for people to come together and exercise actions with expressing purposes, such as expressing what one serves, conveying a position on a particular issue, exchanging different ideas with different actors, assert or affirm group solidarity or identity, and to serve other goals that could be entertainment, cultural, commercial, or religious, which is the right to freedom of peaceful assembly. That includes, for sure, worship services. So the interlink between freedom of conscience, religion, and belief and the freedom of peaceful assembly and of association are very strong. And this is recognized in different international standards of the human rights law, including the Declaration of the Elimination of All Forms of Intolerance and of Discrimination based on religion or beliefs, which provides in its Article 6 that the right of freedom of thought, conscience, religion, or belief include, inter alia, among others, the freedom of worship or assemble in connection with a religion or belief, to establish and maintain places for those purposes, to make, acquire, and use to an adequate extent the necessary articles and materials related to the rights or customs that are identified, and therefore this is linked with the access of resources, which is part of the freedom of association. All actions related with undue stigmatization, criminalization, banning, or exercise of any type of undue restriction to faith-based or own religion groups and associations, and also the exercise of violence, including to their leaders and members for the sake of the expression of their faith of belief or for their participation in peaceful assemblies, curtails the rights to freedom of assembly and of association. These rights, therefore, are not absolute. There are some possibilities to restrict them, but always following the principles of legality, which means that they need to be in conformity with the law, but also the human rights international standards, the principle of proportionality and the principle of necessity. And this principle says that there is the restrictions needs to be necessary in a democratic society in the interest of national security, public safety, public order, public health, public morals, other rights and freedoms of others. Now, the international standards are very clear, indicating that all restrictions need to be carefully assessed in case-to-case basis. For example, regarding restrictions that may be imposed under the interest of national security, the standards say that these need to be necessary to preserve the state capacity to protect the existence of the nation, its territorial integrity, or its political independence against a credible threat of use of force. So in all cases, these threats need to be clearly proved. Besides, states have the obligation to ensure that laws, their interpretation and application do not result in discrimination in the enjoyment of the right of peaceful assembly and association, for example, on the basis of religion and belief, with focus members of groups that are or have been subjected to discrimination or that may face particular challenges in participating in assemblies or in forming and participating in association. So all the cases included in the report presented today about Christians being summoned to court to face charges of establishing or membership of a group, society, or branch inside the country with vague accusations of disrupt the security of the country and other stigmatization narratives. The dismantling of churches, organizations, and schools of vague accusations of being illegal and removing their leaders. The arrest for participating in peaceful assemblies, including protest and the celebration of Christmas. The harassment and persecution of institutions, leaders, and organizations for receiving foreign funds for their communities in a strategy of allegedly isolated and financially undermining the Christian community as part of a broader strategy of suppress its growth and influence. The demolition of places of worship and or the confiscation of property. The vilification of assemblies and associations under stigmatizing narratives, including narratives such as anti-regime groups, member of a sect, among others, and the criminalization of assemblies such as attending house churches for masses, worship services, performing baptisms, and others are all cases that are in clear violation of the right of freedom of assembly and of association in Iran. So I call Iran to adjust their regulation and practices to protect and guarantee these rights with no discrimination, as well as the right to freedom of expression, conscience, and belief and religion. So I send my solidarity with all the victims, their families, and communities. I stand with you.